I plunged the syringe into my own neck, the neck that wasn't mine anymore, and watched the light fade from eyes that used to beg me for mercy in the boardroom. The board members screamed as the building's smart systems turned against them. Doors sealing like tombs, elevators plummeting into freefall, all because I'd flipped the switch they never knew existed. And in that chaos, I whispered to the ghost of who I used to be, "This isn't murder, darling, it's just the market correcting itself." It started in the fluorescent hell of Apex Neural's R&D lab, tucked away in the sun-baked sprawl of Palo Alto, where the air smelled like overclocked servers and broken dreams. I was Luna Reyes, 32, the invisible cog in the machine, lead coder on Project Echo, the black-budget brainchild that promised to rewrite human consciousness like it was just another line of buggy code. Body-swapping tech. They called it mind transference for the elite, a way to cheat death or dodge subpoenas. But to me, it was a goddamn Pandora's box, humming in the dark with the potential to unravel everything we thought made us human. I'd clawed my way into Apex from the barrios of East LA, trading tamale runs for all-nighters fueled by Red Bull and resentment. Tech was supposed to be the great equalizer, right? The ticket out of the cycle my mom broke her back to escape, cleaning houses for tech bros who wouldn't spit on her if she was on fire. But Apex? It was a viper's nest. Glass walls hiding glass ceilings, where innovation meant stepping on necks to climb higher. And at the top slithered Victor Hale. Visionary. Sociopath. Charismatic as a televangelist, with a jawline that could cut deals and a Rolodex of senators who owed him favors. Victor and we were the dirty secret that tasted like forbidden fruit at first. Late nights in the lab, his hand on my thigh under the conference table, whispering how I'd be his queen when Echo launched. "You're the spark, Luna," he'd say, his breath hot against my ear. "The one who makes the magic happen." I believed him because I wanted to, because in a world that saw me as the token Latina dev, his gaze made me feel seen. Stupid? Maybe. Naive? Hell yes. But Betrayal has a way of rewriting your origin story. The night it all fractured was a Thursday, the kind of muggy California evening where the fog rolls in like a bad omen. I'd been tweaking the neural mapping algorithm, the core of Echo that synced two minds without frying the synapses. Victor burst into the lab at 2 a.m., tie loosened, eyes wild with that manic gleam he got before dropping bombshells. "Luna, baby, we have a problem." Not we. I should have caught that. His problem. Turns out, the SEC was sniffing around Apex's books, offshore accounts funneled through Shell Core in the Caymans, all tied to Victor's pet project, selling Echo prototypes to foreign oligarchs before FDA approval. Insider trading on steroids. And the smoking gun? A digital trail leading straight to my access logs. I'd signed off on the code commits. Sure. But only because he asked. Just rubber stamp it. Amor, he'd purred. For us. Panic clawed at my gut. Vic. This is federal time. We're talking 20 years in Club Federal. He paced, then stopped. That predator smile creeping back. Not if we fix it. Echo's ready for a live test. One swap. Luna. You and me. I slip into a clean vessel, some John Doe in the ER, vegetative from a stroke, and you. You take the fall in my body. Temporary. Poetic. Even. The board sees Victor Hale confessing to the feds. Spilling everything.
Heroic mea culpa.
Then we swap back once the heat dies. I laughed, thinking it was his twisted joke. But the syringe in his hand wasn't laughing. It was loaded with a stabilizer cocktail, our prototype neural blocker. One prick, and your mind goes pliant, ready for upload. Trust me, he said, and lunged. The swap hit like drowning in static. 1 second, I was me, curvy, tattooed, arms flailing, cursing in Spanglish. The next, I was trapped in Victor's lanky frame, staring down at hands that felt like alien puppets, veins mapping a life of martini brunches and backroom handshakes. My old body, Luna's body, slumped, Victor's mind puppeteering it now, eyes fluttering open with my dark lashes.
See?
Seamless, he said in my voice, a mocking lilt that twisted the knife. He dragged me, yes, to the upload chamber, a coffin of gel packs and humming coils, and initiated the full transfer. When I woke, it wasn't in a hospital bed. It was in Victor's penthouse, overlooking the bay. Silk sheets tangled around legs that didn't cramp the way mine used to. My new reflection in the mirror, salt and pepper hair. Crow's feet from squinting at PowerPoints. A dick swinging between thighs that felt wrong in every dimension. Victor Hale's body. Prime real estate for a man who'd just framed his lover for treason. He'd left a note on the nightstand, typed on company letterhead like it was a post-it. Play the part.
Luna.
Confess tomorrow. Bail's already wired. We'll reunite in Cancun once the shares rebound.
Love. Love.
The word burned like battery acid. I didn't confess. Instead, I logged into the Apex internet, Victor's golden keys opening every door, and started digging. That's when I found it, the kill switch. Buried in the auxiliary code I'd written 6 months back. A failsafe for if Echo ever went rogue. A single command, hidden in the metadata, that would cascade through the network, purge all neural maps, brick the servers, trigger the fire suppression to flood the data centers with halon gas. Silent apocalypse. Only I knew the syntax, the backdoor passphrase, echoes of the damned. But Victor? He was already moving pieces. In my body. He staged the confession, tearful presser at dawn. Luna Reyes crumbling under the weight of her greed, spilling fabricated details that painted me as the mastermind. The news cycle ate it up. Tech darlings' dark secret. Latina coders' embezzlement scheme rocks Silicon Valley. Hashtags trended. My face, my real face, plastered everywhere. Memes calling me the Valley Vixen who'd sell her soul for stock options. Mom called from LA. Voice cracking. Mija. What happened? The news says. I hung up. Throat tight. Betrayal wasn't just personal, it was erasure. Fugitives don't get therapy. But Victor's body came with perks. Private jets. Black cards. A network of enablers who didn't ask questions. I liquidated what I could. Offshore slush funds he'd hidden better than his conscience, and vanished into the underbelly of San Francisco, the city that chews up dreamers and spits out ghosts. Foggy alleys off Mission Street, crash pads in the Tenderloin where junkies didn't bat an eye at a silver fox, paying in hundreds. I dyed the hair black, grew a scruffy beard with hormone blockers from a back alley doc, and became Leo Voss, Ghost in the Machine. Revenge isn't a checklist, it's a slow poison. First, I fed anonymous tips to the feds, details only Victor would know, twisting the narrative so his confession started smelling like a cover-up. Whispers in dark web forums. Apex's Echo wasn't just unethical, it was weaponized. Mind uploads tested on unwilling migrants smuggled across the border. Controversial? Hell. It lit powder kegs. Protests erupted outside Apex HQ. Signs screaming, "No more Frankenstein Valley." Pundits on Fox and MSNBC duked it out. Was it corporate overreach or immigrant exploitation? My doing. All of it. From a burner laptop in a diner that reeked of fry oil. But Victor, he adapted like the snake he was. In my body. He pivoted. Luna's fall. A wake-up call for diversity hiring. TED Talk booked. Book deal linked. He wore my curves like a trophy, turning betrayal into brand. Spotted at galas. My laugh echoing from his lips. Arm candy on a tech heir who looked at me like fresh meat. I watched the streams in seedy motels.
Bilirsin.
That was my face. Selling lies. My voice. Crooning empathy for the broken system he'd built. The tension coiled tighter with every dodged tail, private dicks on his peril. Facial rec alerts pinging when I got too close. I hit his inner circle next, the CFO. A weasel named Harlan who'd greenlit the swaps. A midnight meet in a deserted warehouse by the docks. Harlan thinking he was cutting a side deal. I showed up as Leo. Gravel voice and brass knuckles. "Tell me about the John Doe," I growled, pinning him against crates that stank of salt and rust. The vegetative patient Victor had hijacked as his escape pod, and nobody. Some vet from Fresno OD'd on fentanyl. Family too poor to sue. Harlan spilled, sweat beading on his comb-over. It was clean.
Man. No traces. Lies.
I'd already hacked the med records. The vet's name was Marcus Hale, no relation. Just cruel irony. Wife waiting tables. Kid with leukemia. Victor hadn't just stolen a body. He'd orphaned a family. I left Harlan zip-tied. A USB of Echo's dirty blueprints shoved down his throat. "Swallow your pride," I said, and walked into the fog. By morning, he was singing to the FBI, fingers pointing up the chain. Power like Victor's doesn't crumble easy. He lawyered up, spun the leaks as sour grapes from disgruntled exes. In my body, he looked the part, vulnerable, fierce, the ultimate survivor. But I could see the cracks, the way Luna's hands trembled on camera. A ghost of my own tics. He was fraying, the neural sync degrading. Echo wasn't perfect. Prolonged swaps caused echoes, phantom pains, identity bleed. I'd felt it first, flashes of his memories intruding, boardroom conquests tasting like ash in my mouth. My controversial call came on a rainy night in Oakland, thunder rumbling like God's own hangover. I tracked the vet's family to a sagging duplex, porch light flickering over a swing set rusting in the yard.
Maria Hale.
Widow now, chain smoking on the stoop, eyes hollow as she watched her boy chase fireflies in the drizzle. I approached as Leo,
Hat Primlow.
mumbling about old debts from the VA. She let me in, desperation does that, and overweak coffee. I laid it bare. Not all of it, just enough. Your husband.
He was part of something big.
Medical trial. Compensation's coming. Her face crumpled. They said accident. But he called that night. Slurring, said he felt hollowed out. I nodded. Throat tight. Victor's atoms apple bobbing like accusation. Then the ask, help me end it. For him.
For you.
She handed over a key to Marcus's old truck, stashed in impound. Inside, a .38 revolver, cleaned and loaded. Controversial? Arming a grieving widow against a titan? In America, it's Tuesday. But as I drove away, the weight in my coat pocket felt like Judgment Day. The climax brewed in the bowels of Apex HQ. a fortress of steel and surveillance I'd once called home. I'd spoofed credentials, Victor's own biometric overrides, lifted from his cloud during a phishing scam I ran through his girlfriend's email. Petty? You bet. Infiltration was surgical. Service elevator at 3 a.m. EMP pulse from a jury-rigged drone to blind the cams. The server farm hummed like a hive. Rows of blades glowing blue. The heart of Echo's empire. Victor was there in my body, pacing the control room, barking at texts in my clipped Valley Spanglish. Double the encryption. The feds are circling. He looked off. My curves strained against his tailored suit. Posture slouched like the weight of two souls was too much. Our eyes met through the observation glass, his in my face, mine in his, and for a split second, recognition flickered. Not surprise, dread. I didn't hesitate. Burst through the door. .38 leveled. The text froze. Hands up like a bad heist flick. Evening. Vic, I said. Voice a gravelly drawl that wasn't mine. Miss me?
Luna?
It came out as a whisper from my lips, laced with horror. He backed against the console. My tattooed fingers splayed. What the fuck have you done to my body? Learn to use it better than you ever did. The room tensed. Air thick as the storm outside. Controversial decision number 2. I could have shot him clean. Ended the farce. But revenge isn't quick. It's intimate. Initiate full diagnostic. I commanded the AI. Victor's voice sprint unlocking the vault. Screens bloomed with neural maps. Hundreds. Ghosts of swapped minds lingering in the ether. Including ours. The twist hit like a server crash. As the diagnostic ran, echoes flooded the room, fragmented memories bleeding through the link. Victor's mind, still tethered faintly to mine via the botched sync. I saw it then, not just his schemes, but the lie at the core. The embezzlement? A smokescreen. The real crime was Echo itself, not a savior, but a weapon. Victor hadn't built it to cheat death, he'd engineered it to steal lives. Test subjects weren't volunteers, they were the vulnerable, rounded up from shelters and borders. Minds harvested for data to train AI overlords.
And me?
I hadn't just taken the fall, I'd coded the harvester. My algorithms. My mistake. Gifting him the power to modify souls. You bitch, he snarled in my voice. Lunging. We grappled, his slight frame against my borrowed bulk. A grotesque mirror fight. Fists flew. My knuckles splitting on cheekbones I'd once kissed. A tech lunged for the alarm. I fired low, shattering a knee in a spray of fabric and screams.
No gore.
Just the wet thud of consequence. Victor, me, clawed at my throat, nails raking skin that wasn't mine. You think you're the hero? You're the glitch I created. We crashed into the console, sparks flying as overrides triggered. The kill switch beckoned, a glowing prompt on the mainframe, echoes of the damned. My finger hovered. Controversial? Destroying billions in IP. Lives ruined in the fallout, jobs lost, dreams vaporized. But in that moment, with my breath ragged, I saw the reversal. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the monster, wearing his skin, wielding his sins. I hit enter. The purge was biblical. Server's word to silence. Data hemorrhaging into voids. Alarms wailed. Halon misting down like digital judgment. Victor howled, collapsing as the neural link severed. Our minds slamming back. A violent recoil. I felt it rip through me, Luna's essence flooding back into flesh that fit like a glove, curves and fire reclaiming home. He tumbled into his own body, 60-year-old husk, withered from years of excess, gasping, eyes wide with the finality of self.
You.
Knew, he croaked. My voice gone. His own reedy whisper returning.
The switch. How?
Because I built everything worth breaking, I said, standing over him in my skin, gun loose in my hand. The room choked with fog, figures scrambling for exits. Sirens wailed distant, the cavalry too late. Ending it there would have been mercy. Instead, I knelt, syringe from my pocket, the last of the stabilizer. Your turn to confess.
Beak.
Everything. On camera. The boardroom feed was still live. Red light blinking. He babbled as the drug took hold. Names. Dates. The migrant graves in the desert where test bodies were dumped. The stream went viral before the feds cut it, truth inverted. Villain unmasked in his own frailty. I walked out into the dawn. Bay Bridge gleaming like absolution. Mom's voicemails waited. Forgiveness. Confusion.
Pride.
The Hales got their payout. Anonymous wire from Victor's slush fund. Harlan flipped. The board scattered. Apex crumbled. Shares tanking. Lawsuits blooming like weeds. Happy? In America. Revenge is a coin flip. I got my body back. My name cleared in the rubble. But the echoes linger, his memories in my dreams. My code's ghosts haunting the net. Was I avenger or architect of the fall? Forum threads rage. Luna Reyes. Whistleblower or wrecking ball? I scroll them from a beachside bungalow in Baja. Sun-kissing skin that's mine again. Tragic. Maybe. But damn if it doesn't feel like justice. Served cold, with a side of controversy. The aftermath tasted like ash and avocado toast, California's favorite combo of ruin and reinvention. 6 months post-purge. And the headlines had shifted from eco-apocalypse to the Luna effect, how one woman's revenge redefined tech ethics. Pundits dissected it like a frog in bio class. Was I a feminist icon? Toppling the patriarchy, one swapped soul at a time? Or a cautionary tale of unchecked rage? The Latina firebrand who'd burned it all down because a man done her wrong? Cable news looped the confession clip. Victor's frail form spilling guts. My silhouette in the background like a specter. Ratings gold. Book deals pinged my inbox. Netflix wanted the rights. I ghosted them all. Reclaiming life wasn't linear. Therapy in LA. The kind with crystal-infused water and sliding scale fees for trauma survivors. The Shrink. A soft-spoken white lady named Greer. Kept pushing. Luna. The body dysmorphia. It's not just the swap. It's the betrayal. Bullshit. Or half-truth.
Nights.
I'd wake sweating. Hands roaming curves that felt foreign. Echoes of his touch lingering like malware. Victor's appetites. Women as conquests. Power as foreplay had seeped in, making every mirror a battlefield. I'd punch the glass. Shards drawing blood that was mine. Finally mine. Mom flew up from LA. Her rosary beads clicking like a metronome of worry. We met at a taqueria in the Mission. The kind with formica tables scarred by decades of stories.
Mia.
You look tired. Her eyes. Crow's feet deeper than mine. Scan the menu like it held answers. I ordered extra guac. Chasing normalcy. Over plates of carnitas. I spilled, not the tech jargon, but the heart of it, how he'd worn me like a costume. How I'd worn him back to tear it all apart. She crossed herself.
Ay. Dios.
But you fought,
Luna.
like your abuela in the fields. Pride edged her voice, but so did fear.
Don't let it eat you.
Vengeance is a hungry ghost. She was right, but ghosts don't starve easy. Victor rotted in Pelican Bay. Federal white-collar wing. Irony's cruelest cell block. No swaps for lifers, just concrete and regret. I'd visit once, anonymous through lawyers, watching him through plexiglass. His body, reclaimed, looked deflated, skin sagging on bones that once commanded rooms. You won, he rasped, receiver greasy between us. But at what cost? Echo was the future. You killed it. I leaned in, lips to the mouthpiece. Future for who?
Beak.
The ones like you. Or the ones you stepped on. He laughed. A wet hack. You're me now. Ruthless. I hung up, the echo chamber of his words chasing me out. The controversial ripples spread wider. Protests morphed into policy. California's HALE Act, mandating neural tech transparency, named after the ghost vet whose tragedy I'd unearthed. Marcus Hale's boy, little Tommy, got his chemo covered by a victim fund Apex's remnants coughed up. Maria sent a card, handwritten, thank you scrawled in block letters. For giving him peace. I framed it, hung it by the door of my new place, a shotgun flat in Oakland Hills. View of the estuary where egrets fished at dusk. Simple life, freelance coding for open source outfits. The kind that built bridges instead of walls. But tension simmered under the calm. Harlan, the CFO turncoat, got off light probation, a slap on the wrist for cooperation. He resurfaced in the valley,
Peddling ethical AI startups.
his comb-over slicker than ever. Whispers said he was shopping a tell-all. Inside the swap, my escape from Apex. My name would be the villainous foil, the unhinged ex who'd pulled the trigger. I could have let it slide, fought in court, dragged the dirt public. Instead, Decision 3, the quiet kill. It went down in a wine bar in Napa, the sort of place where venture vultures circle over Cabernet. Harlan, flush from a funding round, held court at the corner booth, anecdotes flowing freer than the Pinot. I slipped in as Lena Voss, distant cousin vibe, brunette wig, and a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Heard you're writing about the old days, I said, sliding onto the leather, voice honeyed with feigned awe. He preened, ego inflating like a bad balloon.
Ah.
The Echo Saga. Dramatic, right?
Luna was.
Intense. Passionate woman. You know, we talked shop neural ethics, the lessons learned. His guard dropped with the third glass, mine stayed wired. Under the table, my foot nudged a drive into his loafer. For your research, I murmured. Unredacted logs. The ones the feds missed. He pocketed it, eyes lighting like a kid at Christmas. Hook set. By dawn, the drive auto-executed, a worm-eyed coded, elegant as haiku, dumping his tell-all drafts to every major outlet. Unfiltered Harlan, emails boasting about harvesting wetware from the help, memes joking about the border runs. The book deal vaporized, his startup tanked overnight. Last I heard, he was hawking real estate in Reno, comb-over wilting in the desert heat. Controversial? Exposing a rat without a bullet? In the court of public opinion. It's checkmate. The real storm brewed back home.
Though.
Tommy Hale, Marcus's kid, now 8 and cancer-free, started writing letters. Childish scrawl on construction paper. Thank you for helping Daddy's ghost. Maria explained over burner phone. He dreamed of a man in his dad's skin fighting monsters. Echo bleed. Maybe residual sink from the purge. It gutted me. I'd saved them. Sure. But at the cost of dragging a dead man's shadow into their lives. Was I healer or haunt? Forums lit up again. Reyes revenge. Hero or hex? Greer pushed harder in sessions. Confront the gray.
Luna.
The decisions, the gun. The worm. They weren't clean. I snapped back, once. Voice cracking. Clean? Victor swapped me out like trash. I made it dirty right back. She nodded. Unfazed. And now, who's wearing who? That question festered. Victor's appeals dragged, each filing a reminder of the new side tide. In quiet moments, I'd trace the tattoos on my arms, skeletal roses from a Juarez ink shop, symbols of resilience, and wonder if his ruthlessness had tattooed deeper. A date gone wrong crystallized it, blind setup from friend, tech bro with dimples and dreads. Dinner at a fusion spot in Berkeley. Laughter easy until his hand brushed mine.
Flinch. Hard.
Sorry, I muttered. Old scars. He got it, too well. In Valley speak. Trauma's the new black. Huh. We parted awkward. But his text later hit. Heard your story. Respect the grind. But don't let it grind you down. Grind down.
Cute.
But the tension peaked that fall. Leaves turning in the hills like warnings. An envelope arrived, no return.
Postmark DC.
Inside, congressional subpoena. The Hale Act hearings, senators grilling on Echo's fallout. And me as star witness. MS. Reyes. Your actions saved lives but destroyed livelihoods. Care to justify. Cameras would roll. America judging. Twist reversed again, from fugitive to folk hero. Now on trial for the purge's collateral, laid-off coders. Shattered pensions. I prepped in the flat, pacing boards creaky with doubt. Mom called. Testify. Mija. Speak for the silenced. Maria emailed, for Marcus. Even Tommy's latest drawing, a stick figure me with a cape. Battling a snake-headed Victor. Kids see clear. The hearing was a circus, marble halls echoing with sound bites. Protesters chanting outside under gray skies. I took the stand in a pantsuit sharp as my resolve. Hair pulled back. No makeup to hide the shadows. Senator Klein, a hawkish type from Texas, led the charge. MS. Reyes. You accessed proprietary systems unlawfully. Billions lost. Was revenge worth the recession? I met his gaze. Voice steady, mine. All mine. Senator. Apex didn't lose billions, it hemorrhaged souls. I coded the future they stole one line at a time. From people like my mother, like Maria Hale. The kill switch? That was mercy. For everyone. Gasps rippled. Klein pressed. And the violence? The CFO's humiliation. Harlan, in the gallery, avoided my eyes. Consequences, I said. In America, we call it accountability. Controversial? Try necessary. The room split, applause from the left. Murmurs from the right.
Twist, no indictment.
Testimonies sealed the act. Shields for the vulnerable. But as I exited, flashbulbs popping like gunfire. A reporter cornered me. Regrets?
Luna?
I paused, bay fog rolling in my mind's eye. Only that I didn't flip it sooner. Back in Oakland, the flat felt less like exile, More like anchor. Tommy visited once, Maria driving up, picnic in the hills. He hugged my legs, whispering, "You're real now." I ruffled his hair. Echoes fading. Victor's last appeal denied. Life without. The papers said,
I didn't visit again.
ghosts deserve their graves. Yet the dark lingered. A tension wire under skin. Dreams of swaps, of wearing Mom's weary hands, or Tommy's small ones, reminded me, power corrupts. But so does its absence. I'd built, destroyed, rebuilt. Happy ending? Debatable. But in the quiet, the coding lines that healed instead of harvested, I felt the pull of something new, not revenge, but reckoning. America's favorite export, drama with a dash of dread. Winter clamped down on the bay like a bad contract, relentless, unforgiving, the kind that makes you question every clause. By January, the Hale Act was law, etched in federal ink. But victory tasted bittersweet, like mezcal with a worm chasing it. Apex's carcass got carved up, patents auctioned to startups swearing ethical oaths, execs scattering like roaches to boutique consultancies. Victor? Buried in appeals no more. Just another inmate shuffling in orange. His visionary TED Talks scrubbed from the net like contraband. I'd check the prison cams sometimes, hacked feed. Guilty pleasure. Watching him age in real time. Salt turning to dust. Life as Luna 2.0 settled into grooves. Morning runs along the estuary, where the water mirrored the hills' stubborn green. Afternoons freelancing for a co-op in Berkeley. Building apps for community clinics, neural aids for stroke recovery. Irony not lost. Evenings? Wine with friends who'd stuck through the scandal. The ones who saw past the headlines to the woman who'd coded her way out of hell. No more ghosts in the sheets. Therapy and time did their work. Greer's crystals be damned. But America doesn't do closure clean. The controversy reignited with a bang, or a leak. February. A whistleblower from Apex's defunct security team dropped docs on WikiLeaks, redacted emails showing I'd known about the migrant tests earlier than I claimed. Reyes complicit, blared the Times. Forums exploded. She built the beast, then burned the barn. My inbox flooded. Death threats from edgelords. Pleas from victims' families demanding the full truth. Confrontation came via Maria. She drove up unannounced. Tommy in tow. Her old Civic rattling like bones. We sat on the porch. Herbal tea steaming in mugs. The boy kicking gravel with scuff sneakers. Saw the news, she said. Voice flat as the delta. You knew. About the trials. Her eyes, shadowed by grief's permanent makeup, pinned me. No accusation, just the weight of it. I nodded.
Throat dry.
Not at first.
But yeah.
I saw the anomalies in the data, spikes in sync failures. Logs from off-site calibrations. Thought it was glitches.
Beak.
He gaslit me. Said it was R&D growing pains. Lies I'd told myself. Now ash. Tommy looked up. Gap-toothed. Did you fix it?
Luna?
The monsters? I knelt. Hand on his shoulder. Trying?
Kiddo.
Every day. Maria sighed, stirring her tea. Marcus would have hated this mess. But he believed in second chances. She left the card, another thank you. This one for the boy who dreams true. As they pulled away, brake lights fading into dusk. The tension snapped. I wasn't just Avenger. I was accomplice. The coder who'd enabled the cage. Decision 4. The ugliest. Full disclosure. I wrote the op-ed myself, confessions of a swap survivor, my sins in the code, pouring it all out for the Chronicle. The anomalies I'd ignored, the late nights excusing Victor's necessary evils, the moment I could have pulled my own switch but didn't. Revenge blinded me to my reflection, I typed. Fingers flying like exorcism. I wore his body, but carried his darkness longer. Published Sunday. It went nuclear, shares, debates, a Senate hearing invite to clarify. The fallout was a firestorm. Pro-Hail Act folks hailed it as raw accountability. Detractors crowed, see? She's no saint, just a vengeful hack. Mom read it aloud over FaceTime. Voice thick, brave, Mija. But painful. Greer canceled our next session. Process this solo first. Even Tommy drew again. Me as a knight. Sword bent but unbroken. Twist reversed once more in the hearing's anteroom. Senators milling like sharks.
Aed poult me azid whipsmart.
Pantsuit crisp. MS. Reyes. The leak? Traced to Victor. From inside. My blood iced. He'd hacked a guard's phone. Funneled the docs through a proxy. Not to exonerate, but to drag me down, final lash from the grave he'd dug for himself. Ruthless to the end. On the stand, under Klieg lights hot as interrogation. I owned it. I was complicit. Ignored the red flags because ambition's a hell of a drug. But the purge? That was atonement. Not perfect messy. American messy. Klein. Softer this time. Nodded. And now I build better. For the Marcus Hales, the ones the Valley forgot.
No gavelban.
Just quiet respect. The act strengthened mandatory audits. Victim reparations. Victor got an extra charge, obstruction from the clink. I walked out to rain-slick streets. Protesters chanting my name, not all cheers, but alive. Spring thawed the chill. Cherry blossoms dusting the hills like confetti from a brawl. I took Tommy fishing, Maria's blessing. A day on the bay with rods and bait. He hooked a perch, squealing as it flopped silver in the sun. Like magic, I laughed, gutting it clean.
Nah, kid.
Just science. And a little luck. Luck or fate delivered the coda that summer. A package arrived, unmarked, Victor's effects from intake. Personal items auctioned post-life sentence. Inside, my old locket, the one with Mom's photo he'd borrowed during the swap. Engraved back, for Luna, eternal echoes.
V.
Creep or closure. I melted it down. Recast into a pendant for Tommy, for the boy who slays dragons. Mom moved closer, tiny bungalow in the Excelsior. Tamales on Sundays. We talked betrayals over masa. Her stories of 80s strikes mirroring mine. We all wear masks. Mija. The trick is shedding them whole. By fall. The debates raged on, podcasts parsing the Luna paradox, hero, villain, or both. I tuned out. Focused on the co-op's next project, open source neural therapy. Free for clinics like the one that saved Tommy. Echoes repurposed, not stolen, but shared. Tragic end? Victor died in his cell, heart attack. Papers called it ironic justice. I didn't mourn, just raised a glass to the ghosts we'd both haunted. Happy? In the messy middle, where revenge yields to redemption, America's dark heart beats on. Tension eases, but never snaps. Life's too UM for that. I stand on the rooftop now. City lights winking like old accomplices. The USB drive, kill switch relic, long buried in the bay. Only I knew its power. And they learned too late.
But me?
I'm learning still. To live in this skin. Scars and all. Scripting a story no one else controls.